Marvel movies are kind of like the pasta of cinematic experiences. You know, they're not the best thing that you could eat, but it's still pretty delicious. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I love pasta. And I also am a fan of Marvel movies. But there's this thing that they do in Marvel movies where they have characters wear really stupid disguises. And it's just so dumb. And that's it. We're gonna talk about that.
Cannelloni, canneletto, rigatoni, rigoletto, trattoria, mamma mia, Lazio.
So if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically just this. A hat, maybe some sunglasses, and sometimes a hoodie. Compared to some other superhero disguises, these are a step up, but in truth, they don't really change the character's appearance that much other than to make them look super ultra sketchy. Let's take a look at some of the instances that these disguises are used in the MCU. That's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if you're not hip to the lingo. This all started in Iron Man 3 when Tony Stark wears sunglasses and a hoodie while breaking into a mansion. There's a ton of this in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and this makes sense because it's a movie about hiding from the government and mass surveillance. Yeah, there's a lot of hats in this movie. Yeah, they should have called it Captain America. Or like Captain America, like a hat. Ant-Man poked fun at this whole concept in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It's not a disguise, Hank. We look like ourselves at a baseball game.
And finally, Brie Larson wears a shield baseball cap in Captain Marvel. So now that we know when these disguises are used, let's look at how helpful they would actually be in the real world. A few years ago, in the real world, hats and sunglasses would actually be a pretty good way of hiding yourself from facial recognition software. These programs work by measuring the geometry of your face and comparing those numbers to a database of facial signatures. If your facial signature is in the database already, then there you go, you've been spotted, you're caught. Time's up, Buster. So a hat and sunglasses could actually go a pretty long way in helping you disguise yourself from these programs because they distort the geometry of your face. But like I said, that was a few years ago. These days, companies like Panasonic are using deep learning to enhance their facial recognition software, and some of these programs can even recognize faces through disruptions like surgical masks, or one of those fashion surgical masks that have little cat faces on them. So I think it's safe to assume that a world that has, you know, Iron Man would also probably have technology like this. But to be fair, these characters aren't always hiding from computers or cameras. You know, sometimes they're just trying to blend in a crowd without being recognized. Look at this scene from the end of The Winter Soldier when Steve goes to the Captain America wing of the Smithsonian in DC. I'm sorry, you're telling me that this kid is the only person that recognized him? Not the people that he bought tickets from, not the security guards, not all of the other people in the room that are literally staring at pictures of his incredibly sculpted, handsome face. So as always, the best way to figure out whether or not these things work is to go and test them on people. So I'm going to don a classic Marvel movie disguise and head out into the park and see, you know, whether or not people recognize me. And I have a feeling they're gonna recognize me. So even with the disguise, I think they're probably gonna recognize me. People know who I am. Yeah, people know who I am. It's me. I'm out here in the park wearing my disguise, and I'm gonna see if people recognize me while I'm wearing it. Do you recognize me wearing this hat and sunglasses?
No, not really.
You don't recognize me from anywhere?
I don't think so.
Do you recognize me?
No, I don't.
No, I don't.
You don't recognize me at all?
No.
No, what are you supposed to be?
I do not recognize you.
Do you recognize me through this disguise?
Well, I don't know you, but I can see that you have a hat and glasses on.
Okay, so you guys can see that I'm wearing a hat and sunglasses, which I don't know if it's a good disguise or not, because maybe you recognize me through this disguise.
No.
Not. What if I like take the hat and sunglasses off?
No.
Not, you don't recognize me from like a video that you saw online, or?
No.
What if I take off the hat and sunglasses? Now do you recognize me?
No. Should I? Are you famous?
Not really.
Nope.
You
kind of look familiar. I'm not sure.
Okay. And you said you're from
Ohio.
You guys have like YouTube?
Yeah, well, yeah, everybody's got YouTube.
Okay.
So sorry.
It's okay. No, it's all right. Okay. Anything else you want to?
Did you want to talk about Marvel?
No, not really. Okay, so Zach, tell me, do you recognize me wearing this hat and sunglasses?
Oh my gosh, of course I recognize you. You're Granger Wilson, the host of Mad About It.
Right.
Easily my favorite video series of
Oh my
all
gosh.
time. And if I do say so myself, it's super underrated and deserves much more critical acclaim
Right.
and maybe even a Netflix original series.
Yeah.
Will you sign a headshot for me?
Yeah, I will. Let me get my pen out. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad that you are a fan.
Can't believe I just ran into you like this.
I know, it's funny too because
Oh my
I'm gonna
god.
just
I'm gonna frame this.
anyway. I'm pretty glad this is all over.
Cannelloni, cannelletto, rigatoni, rigoletto, trattoria, mamma mia, Lazio. Lamborghini e linguini, bolesconi, minestroni, mozzarella, Donatella,